Did you know that the butcher can spawn in cellars? Well, I found that out when I did 300 cellars in a row. Now, I don't exactly know what compelled me to do 300 cellars in a row. I did think of the idea when I found out that with the dungeon reset button, you can actually reset cellars. You go in, you do the cellar, you leave, you press the reset dungeon button, and boom, the cellars reset. So it got me thinking, how beneficial is that? What if you just did a bunch of cellars in a row? And it was actually a pretty enlightening journey, if it was a pretty boring journey. I would not recommend you do this for your mental health. It wasn't a complete slog, but I guess if you like running the same cellar over and over and over and over again, hey, more power to you. And I'm here to tell you what you're gonna get out of doing that. So, in my 300 cellars, what level do you think I got to? I started at level 2 because I had all of the areas explored. And then I didn't do anything but cellars, aside from the Necromancer quest, but that didn't even give me a full level, until I did 300 cellars. So the only XP gain I was getting was killing monsters in cellars. What level do you think I got to? I'll give you a few seconds to put it in the comments. Okay, you got it down there? In 300 cellars, I got to level 45 on my Necromancer. Now, I did have some rules when I did this. I could only use gear, and I could only use potions that I got from those cellars. There were a stretch of a lot of those cellars I didn't have a potion on, so I was missing 5% XP. I did, however, have the full Season's Journey bonus with the 8% XP. So I did basically have a potion on at all times, but I could have had 13% in total the whole time, but I didn't have a potion all the time. However, towards the back half I did. It started dropping a lot more when I was higher level. But here are some other interesting things that I found on my journey of 300 cellars. So the actual level breakdown. I got to level 10 in just 10 cellars. I was getting one level a cellar. And then I got to level 20 in 52. So maybe when you start a new character, you just run a bunch of cellars over and over again. It started to be 2 or 3 cellars around level 12. And then once I hit around level 18, then it started to be a lot more. But I did get to level 20 and 52 cellars. That took me an hour to do, by the way. As you get higher level, it slows down because you do less damage for some reason. Because of the scaling, I wasn't one-shotting things with my abilities anymore. They actually caught up to the extra skill points that I had from doing a bunch of rep on my main. But I got to level 30 in 3 hours with 111 cellars. I got to level 40 in 5.5 hours at 205 cellars. And then I got to level 45 around 289 cellars. That took me about 7 hours. And then I finished off the 300 cellars and I got to about halfway through 45. In total, it took me around 7.5 hours to do 300 cellars. That is 40 cellars an hour. Between resetting and doing my counting and stuff like that. You could probably do it slightly faster, because I was actually documenting a lot of stuff. But the actual cellars took me like 40 seconds to complete, and then you have 2 loading screens to go through, and the loading screens are both like 10 seconds each. So it comes out to about a minute plus some change for, hey, maybe you're not going through immediately, and maybe you're not resetting fast enough, that kind of stuff. But you can reasonably get around 40 cellars an hour. So, a couple things that I noticed towards the end of my journey. I didn't have a potion for the last, like, 30 cellars on. I was getting around 7,000 XP per cellar. With the 8% XP boost, that's actually pretty good. Without it, you'll be probably looking around 6,000 XP. It is definitely worth to do it early levels, and the worth completely diminishes towards later levels. I'd say if you're going to use this strategy, you could get to level 20 in an hour doing just cellars, and then after that, I would recommend you probably just stop. You could keep going. It did only take me 7 hours to get to 45, which is a reasonable area to do the capstone to get into tier 3. But I'm pretty sure if you do Tree of Whispers with dungeon spamming, you'll probably beat that time by at least an hour. Granted, I haven't done that yet, but I can figure that out on my next character. If you guys would like me to compare that, let me know in the comments. Another thing I noticed is you actually get a lot of items from this. Because every cellar ends in the chest, every cellar has a chance to give you around 2 to 3 items. Granted, there are some that don't give you any items except for blue items, which I stopped picking up pretty early. As well as gems, I stopped picking up gems pretty early. But I was, especially towards after around level 35, I would have a full inventory every 8 to 10 cellars. So you get a lot of mats, you can get a lot of gold from doing this. Every chest you open in the cellar gives you gold. I actually, speaking of treasure, so I did see the butcher. He scared the crap out of me, and I instantly left and reset the dungeon because there was no way I was killing him. I was about level 25. But I also only saw one goblin treasure room, and it was like 3 goblins. So I saw the butcher as much as I saw a treasure dungeon. I don't know how sad that is. I'll leave that up to you to decide. But yeah, that's about it. Would I do it again? No. It wasn't completely terrible, but there is no way I could handle 300 more. It's just, it was a little bit too mind-numbing, even with music or watching YouTube videos. It is pretty decent when you do that. But then I hit around the 7-hour mark and I was like, okay, I'm glad that this is almost done. So yeah, that is my journey of doing 300 cellars in a row on my Necromancer. And it was all just one cellar. In fact, I can show you which cellar I did. Okay, so here we are in game. As you can see, I didn't get any of these except for the one by the cellar I was doing. You're gonna find this cellar right here. It's a werewolf cellar. It is pretty short. It's not like one of those ones where you have to run a long distance to get to the actual event. You pop in, you go through a doorway, and boom, you're at the event. Super quick. This is the best cellar that I had in my knowledge from doing past characters. So if you want to spam cellars and you create a new character, all you gotta do is run all the way down here, get this waypoint, and start spamming this cellar. Like it. But yeah, that was my 300 cellar journey. I would not recommend doing 300, but I would recommend abusing the fact that you get 1 level per cellar at early levels. I will be using this character to kill Elias, just like I did with the Sorcerer. I'm about to do the Capstone Dungeon. I might as well give you a little bit of a look at my gear. I didn't get too many useful legendaries. It was mostly really good rares and gems. It's not the best for optimizing your gear, but it is decently fast. And I'm about to go do this and make a video about it, so if you want to see this Necromancer build, I'm running Blood Surge with an Iron Golem. If you want to see this Necromancer build, do the Capstone and then do the level 70 Capstone to kill Elias, make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching the video to this point, I much appreciate it. My name is Cynical, signing off.